This week's channel message from Isla, the mother of all souls, is a super inspiring one about how time is collapsing. It's happening for us individually, and how that exactly is bringing us the freedom that we are looking for. So, welcome back to my channel, you guys. I am so glad you are here to share the message together. Thank you so much for joining me. And for those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Ann Tucker. I am a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm, and I channel Isla, who is the mother of creation, the mother of all souls. And I do that by going into a deep meditative state or trance, and then from that deep state I connect and I raise my awareness as high as I can go, and I go just a little higher, and then I bring through healing information and messages that I share here with you every single Friday. So this week's message, the delivery of the message, it was really interesting. Just to give you kind of a heads up, I will share the original channeling, which I always do on Thursday nights. I do it the night before. And then I have to do that because I have to have mental space between the channeling and the sharing. And then when I do the breakdown, after I do the channeling, I can't retain it, and it's often I'm still so much in channel brain that I can't understand it. So I have to get back. It's like I'm way in my right brain and I just can't process it. So I sleep on it, I wake up in the next morning, and then I understand it. So I analyze it in the morning and then share it here with you guys. But I will share the recording of the channeling that I did yesterday. And but just to let you know, the delivery, the way she delivers it this time is different from how she normally talks. I think she's talking, it's kind of fast, and it's like all one sentence. Like it's all like one long thing. And I think she's doing that to give us an experience of what she's trying to explain in the message. So, and long story short, if you're listening to the original channeling and if it's hard to follow because she's not parsing the sentences normally, then don't worry about it. Just let the frequencies come through. And then when we break it down, right afterwards, we're going to go into a deep breakdown about the message, and we talk it through, and I will read each paragraph. So you will get all the meaning and then some in the after. And this one is a really good one to listen in for the breakdown because there's so many layers and so much wisdom to get out of this message. So just kick back and relax, and you'll probably get some of the meaning from the message, but you might not get all of it, and that's totally okay. Just relax and enjoy the frequencies that come through in the channeling. So for those of you who may have been waiting to join our Soul Convergence program, it's starting September 12th. So it is now open for enrollment if you want to come and be part of that. Soul Convergence is my very deepest healing program. I am first and foremost a healer. Many of you know me as the channel, but healing is my reason for being. And through that program, it's an amazing, deep, transformative program that works specifically on the period from really in the womb all the way up through age 7. And this is the period where we lay down our subconscious programming. It is the place where our karma lives, where it just recreates itself again and again and again. So if you've got these patterns that you see in your life, things that seem to happen that you don't know how to change, this is often where it's rooted. And so through this process, the angels, it's all done with the angels. They will help you to access that, to bring it forward and to integrate it through healing so that you can finally be free of the karmic patterns that have unfortunately been challenging for you in your lives. So the information about Soul Convergence is found on my website, which is anntucker.com. And I hope you're able to join us. So, all right, take a breath and let's go ahead and go into the original channeling. And then after that, we will break it down in our conversation. Blessed ones, we are together once again. We shall begin with a conversation about what was and where you are going. About what was, how you are friends with the past, about how the past can begin again, how it recreates itself, how it troubles you again and again, and how where you are going is also your friend, and how these two elements intertwine themselves within an indistinguishable mix within your own time frame, the now moment, how the past and the future become inseparable within the time frame of now. As I begin speaking, I wish to draw your attention to the fact that your weekdays are separated, that there's a distance between the first and the seventh, that each one is sequential and one flows into the next, and you ride each week like a wave that moves you through your daily habits and your to-dos and all the things that occupy you. And as you complete each day, it flows into the next, and it forms the week, which then forms a month and a year. And there are times that you surprise yourself when you realize the year is nearly up and a new year is about to begin, and you wonder where the time has gone. And yet in each day, as you are living the day, the time unfolds what seems rather slowly. At times it feels as if the day creeps by, as if you have only yourself to keep you company, and an hour unfolds second by second by second, as you are waiting in line or doing things you don't enjoy. And what I wish to draw your attention to is that time seems collapsible in your mind, that it seems to stretch and play among its own indecisive ability to be. Will it be short or will it be long? Will time come to you through memory or through future projection? Will time exist as an expression of itself, or will it exist through you as something you are experiencing? The reason I wish to draw your attention to this understanding of yourself in the fluidity of time and the changeability of time is that you are transitioning, even now, to a new experiencing of it. That in the now moment, as you exist, the past and the future are integrated. You are using them to decipher your very being, to project yourself, to transition from one moment to the next, to understand the now moment. You rely on the contexts and your understandings and your wishful forms of thinking. All ways in which you seem to interpret the world stem from these indistinguishable and intertwining perspectives. You may at times believe you are projecting into the future what you wish to feel, but it is created from what you experienced or saw or learned about in the past. So there is an interlacing, interweaving of these concepts in all ways of your experiencing. And as you are living them, as you are moving between what feels very separated moment by moment, past from the future, just like 1 second feels separated from the next, as 1 minute is separated, as 1 hour, as 1 day is separated within the week, which is separated in the month and the year. You know yourself, when you get to the end of the year, it feels like it went by very fast, like a blur at times, as if it was all one great big thing. And this is, in fact, a perfect example for you to understand your own inharmonious experience of living within this expanded state of time. That in each individuated moment, it feels as if the past and the future are separated, just like a second feels separated from the next. But as a whole, as you are living your life, the past and the future become intertwined, inseparable within the now moment, just like the seconds and the minutes and the hours collapse into the year. And then the year is over in what seems like a flash. What I wish to share with you is that the past and the future collapse into the moment because of your historical pattern of understanding of how you have existed from the contextual relationship of self to other and self to earth, that you have stayed in a separated state where you understand yourself in relationship to all that is from the outside, as if you are the observer, as if the world is happening out there, and it is something that is occurring in relationship to you. This puts you in a position where you are asking for things, praying for things, hoping for things, creating things, doing things in order to create the future, hoping that it will stem from something you desire, that you form from what you experienced in the past. This will change as you move into these future moments, which are just now unfolding. The collapse of time is what I'm talking about. The experience of time becoming not separated any longer, where your relationship to the reality becomes indistinguishable from self, where you are one with everything, where you are within the moment, within everything. It is no longer a context where you have to understand your relationship to things as something outside of you. You are within it, and you need no longer be separated to understand it. You can simply live it. You can be within it in the same way that you can feel your own feelings. You can reach into the body to diagnose your own constitution. You are it. You know what you are, how you feel, what you're experiencing internally. You need no separation to feel what pain is. You do not need to step outside of the body to diagnose your own pain. You simply feel it. Therefore, what I'm trying to express is that in this near future, you are moving into a state where you will feel much more connected to all that is. And you will be in a state where you can assess reality from the inside of it, as if you are one with the tree, as if you are one with what you are creating from the inside out. And that means that you will no longer be separated from it. And what this means is that you are inside of time, that you no longer need to experience the present through the past and the future. You are fully present within the now moment. And you may experience what is unfolding in the fullness of your consciousness right now. Thus, time collapses. You are no longer perceiving what is happening through the lens of what happened before. For example, if you experience a pain in your body, the pain is fresh, the pain is new, the pain is right now, and it is happening fully. And you are within it, and it is within you. And you may assess it in real time. I use pain not because you like it, but because pain captures your attention. Pain draws your awareness to it. It is an example everyone can understand. But you can also say the same thing about joy. When you are truly joyful, joy permeates the moment. It fills you from the inside out, and you are fully engrossed by it, just like pain. And when you are fully in your joy, time collapses. You do not feel joy and immediately feel the need to categorize it or dissect it or stand apart from it to understand its implications. You are simply joyful. Laughter when something is funny, when someone says something surprising and witty. You do not feel the need to separate yourself from that humor. The laughter rises from inside you, and you experience laughing, and you feel that joyful experience as it rolls up inside of you and spills out. And sometimes you are breathless and cannot stop, and you wonder to yourself, will I ever breathe again? And this is a moment within which you are engrossed in the present. As you move into the near future, there will be an increasing focus on this perception of the now moment, where you are within it, in the same way that you experience pain from within and you experience joy or laughter from within. That you will be inside of the moment, and it will move you, and you will react to it as if you are part of it, not through analysis, not through comparison to the past, or through your wishes to the future. It will be as if it is a part of you, and you are experiencing it in the same way that you experience pain, joy, and laughter. I hope these examples are helpful to you. I understand this is a foreign concept and it is somewhat complex in understanding because we are talking about perception. It is like trying to understand how a television works, that you see the picture and there is a mystery as to how it appears on the screen. Your own perception is like this. It is something you've always lived with, and you rarely diagnose it to understand the source of your ideas or your filters for perceiving reality. But it is important now to become aware of these things, because perception is what is changing. It is what will be renewed, what will be reformed, and it changes now in a way that offers you something beautiful, which is an opening of your own expression, which is freedom from suffering. It graces you within the world that you live in. The freedom to experience yourself in the now is the freedom that you are looking for. I say bless you, thank you, and goodbye. So this is a deep one. And once we talk about it, and I said, especially listening to the original channeling, like I said, she delivers it in such a way that it just runs together like one long sentence, and that is, I think it's a direct example of the stickiness of time. Like she's trying to show us how we separate language and we understand language because we separate it, right? But so we take a word or we take a sentence and we pick it apart, and through that picking apart we gather more meaning. But when we are in oneness with someone, when you're having a telepathic connection, there's no separation, there's no language, even you're just feeling what it is to be them. So she's showing how even in language we use separation, but even language has a tendency to be sticky and stick together, and it becomes harder and harder to gather meaning from that language. So it's cool when you hear that, when she just understand that there's a method to her madness in how she delivered this message. So I spent some time with this message. I was trying to figure out how the heck I had to make sense of it first and really wrap my head around what she's explaining. But there is so much wisdom in this that to me it feels like if we can really embrace this and understand it, she's trying to say at the root of it is this idea: what is changing? What is the shift of consciousness? It is a shift of perception. And she says it right here at the end. This is what is changing. This is where your freedom is. And we don't always give ourselves enough credit to understand that how we look at something makes the difference in how our reality is expressed. But the reality is that we are the window through which source energy comes. Like our perception is incredibly powerful. It's the same thing as like I remember somebody in one of our past sessions was talking about how they were sitting with someone who was going through really extreme grief, and how they were lamenting that they just didn't have the words. They just didn't know what to say, and how they were really like, gosh, I wish I could have said the magic words that made it better. And the thing that came to me just so loudly was the words didn't matter. What mattered was your perception, that you were gifting them presence. You brought your divinity simply by being with the person and witnessing their grief. And the job is not to make it better. The job is to be in presence and to witness so that they can feel, right? To let it out and to experience it and to be witnessed by another person. There are no magic words. Like words are separation. Words create separation. We don't want that. We want the connection, which comes without words. It comes through presence. So how powerful is our presence? How powerful is our perception? It is what is creating reality. So that's where the money is. It's the big thing. It is the thing we are after. Our perception is what's going to create our freedom. And it is the shift of perception. And I love how she says, hey, this is hard to talk about. It's a little bit like, we all have most of us have a TV, but we don't really understand how it works. Like the images show up and we're like, cool, but we don't really get it. You know what I mean? Like, how does it actually, unless you like make TVs for a living, but most of us don't really get it. And that's how our perception is that we live with it all the time. We kind of take it for granted. We just flip it on and it works, but we rarely pick it apart and understand it. And she's saying now is a good time to do that because we are getting a brand new TV and it's going to look differently at the world. We're going to see differently through this perception. And that difference is what the shift of consciousness is all about. So, and it is, and so the more we understand it, like, yes, it's all about the heart, and it's about bringing ourselves into coherence so that we can open up the heart and begin to create from the heart. But the head has to come along. You know what I mean? Like, the head is not just like the, the bumble in the back going like, oh, go wherever you like. The head wants to know. And like, we have to work through our belief systems. We have to work through our habits. Oh my word, do we have to work through our habits? We could have shifted so much internally, but if we are still in the old habits of being, it's like we're still holding ourselves in an old groove and an old track. So we got to work on the whole system, all of it, heart and mind. So, yeah, so this is an exciting message because I feel like this speaks to that in a way that it helps us with that, the coherence between the two. Really, really cool. Okay, you guys, so let's go ahead and break it down if you are ready. All right, so in this one, we're going to have some stick drawings. I'm bringing my inner Michelangelo, so I hope you're excited. All right, blessed ones, we are together once again. We shall begin with a conversation about what was and where you are going. And so in this beginning, she's talking first about what was. So she says about what was, how you are friends with the past, about how the past can begin again, how it recreates itself, how it troubles you again and again. And then also about the future, she says, and how you are going is also your friend. And how these two elements, meaning the past and the future, intertwine themselves within an indistinguishable mix within your own time frame, the now moment. How the past and the future become inseparable within the time frame of now. And so this is sort of the intro paragraph. We're talking about time. We're talking about past and future and how we think of the past and the future as being separated, but the way that they combine and become indistinguishable, how they are actually creating the now moment. So in the time frame of now. Next paragraph, she says, as I begin speaking, I wish to draw your attention to the fact that your weekdays are separated, that there is a distance between the first and the seventh, that each one is sequential and one flows into the next, and you ride each week like a wave that moves you through your daily habits and your to-dos and all things that occupy you. So first we experience time as being separated. Then she says, and as you complete each day, it flows into the next, and it forms the week, which then forms a month and a year. And there are times that you surprise yourself when you realize the year is nearly up and the new year is about to begin, and you wonder where the time has gone. So here she's saying, okay, time is separated, but we experience it also as being very, very fast. So separated, but very fast. And then she says, and yet, in each day, as you are living the day, the time unfolds what seems rather slowly. At times it feels as if the day creeps by, as if you have only yourself to keep you company, and an hour unfolds second by second by second, as if you are waiting in line or doing things you don't enjoy. So here, in the beginning, she says that the past and the future are separated. And then she says, but they're inseparable. They're separated and they're inseparable. Then she says time is separated and time is fast, but it's also slow, right? So what is she really saying here? She's saying, what I wish to draw your attention to is that time seems to collapse in your mind, that it seems to stretch and play among its own indecisive ability to be. Will it be short or will it be long? Will time come to you through memory or through future projection? Will time exist as an expression of itself, or will it exist through you as something you're experiencing? So what she's trying to say here is that time is not one thing. Like, time is like a stretchy, gooey mess. And I had this dream about time that I was mentioning to you, that I was on the other side, and I literally experienced time like taffy. Like, everywhere I went in time, it was like it would stick to me and I couldn't get rid of it. A little bit like think about like cat fur on a sofa. And it's like you sit on it and you're wearing black pants, and like you cannot, it's like you keep thinking it's off and it's not. Everywhere you go, you deposit the cat fur. You know what I mean? Like, you sit on someone else's couch and now they have cat fur, and it's just everywhere. That's time. So it's a mess. It isn't any one thing. And I love how she describes and says it seems to stretch and play among its own indecisive ability to be. So she's not saying this is like a negative quality of time. She's like, time is having a good time. Time is playing at being all different things, and it refuses to stay in the box we want it to stay in. Time is unruly. It wants to have a good time. And so time becomes, it's fast, it's slow, it's separated, it's connected, it's a fast year or it's a long second. It's all of it because it depends on what it feels like being in that moment or how we are experiencing it, right? Is it doing its own thing, right? Is it an expression of itself? This is a huge question. Is time its own thing, or is time only existing through us, right? Or is it both? And I think she would say it's both. So time, to put our finger on time, she says, don't even try it. Don't even bother. It's like time, you'll put your finger in, it's going to stick to you. So you're going to pull your finger out and then time is going to become something new because you just pulled it. Okay, so then she says, the reason I wish to draw your attention to this understanding of yourself and the fluidity of time and the changeability of time is that you are transitioning even now to a new experiencing of it. That in the now moment, as you exist, the past and the future are integrated. You are using them to decipher your very being, to project yourself, to transition from one moment to the next, to understand the now moment. So I put a huge line under we are using the past and the future to decipher ourselves. So think about that, to understand ourselves. How do we understand who we are, what we are? It's almost entirely through what we've learned. Like our self-perception is modeled on what we've gleaned from our past, right? And then we mix into that some aspirations about who we want to be, and we try to hold those. So our identity in the now is almost always built out of the past and the future. So it goes beyond perception. It goes all the way into what we understand as self, and what we think of as the egoic self of the moment. Then she says, you rely on the contexts and your understandings and your wishful forms of thinking. All ways in which you seem to interpret the world stem from these indistinguishable and intertwining perspectives. You may at times believe you are projecting into the future what you wish to feel, but it is created from what you experienced or saw or learned about in the past. So, there is an interweaving of these concepts in all ways of your experiencing. So she's trying to say that we may think that we have this clarity about what is the past and the future, but as we are imagining the future, what we are actually doing is projecting our things we've learned about in the past into the future, and there is the stickiness of time, right? That we think it's the future is this own separate thing that doesn't exist yet, when in fact the only way we can perceive the future is through the past, because we don't have a concept of what the future can be except for through what we've already experienced. Does that make sense? I know this is like very tangled, but because we're talking about it's like we're talking in circles, but it's really trying to get to a better understanding of how it works. All right, so then she says, and as you are living them, as you are moving between what feels very separated, moment by moment, pass from the future, just like 1 second feels separated from the next, as 1 minute is separated, as 1 hour, as 1 day is separated within the week, which is separated in the month and the year. You know yourself. When you get to the end of the year, it feels like it went by very fast, like a blur at times, as if it was all one great big thing. So she's bringing us back to this idea that it feels separated and a blur. And then it feels both separated and it feels like a blur. It feels slow and it feels fast. It feels like individual things and it feels like one big lump, that it's all of these things. So then she says, and this is in fact a perfect example for you to understand your own inharmonious experience of living within this expanded state of time. That in each individuated moment, it feels as if the past and the future are separated, just like a second feels separated from the next. But as a whole, as you are living your life, the past and the future become intertwined, inseparable within the now moment, just like the seconds and the minutes and the hours collapse into the year, and then the year is over in what seems like a flash. So she's trying to help us understand. We think of the past and the future as these very separated things. But in the same way, we think of seconds as being separated, and we think of the next hour that they're very distinguished and very separate. But she's saying that as we go further into the relationship of time, it all lumps in. It all becomes a big sticky mess. And so does the past and the future. That the way we live it in the expanded state of time, which means that we exist right now in a state where we are not limited to the now moment. We spread ourselves across the past, the now, and the future, and we go anywhere we want along that horizon. We can right now project ourselves back to the 1400s or to the 3000s just by thinking about it. And we can imagine what those times are, and we can project those times in terms of our conversation. We can start talking about galleon ships, and we could talk about the Romans, and we're there thousands of years ago. We can talk about it, and it's now because we're bringing it into the now moment. So we are expanded on this length of time. But she's trying to say that it's really not expanded, that all of it becomes a great big sticky mess right in the moment now. And so then she says, what I wish to share with you is that the past and the future collapse into the moment because of your historical pattern of understanding, of how you have existed from the contextual relationship of self to other, of self to earth, that you have stayed in a separated state where you are understanding yourself in relationship to all that is from the outside, as if you are the observer, as if the world is happening out there and it is something that is occurring in relationship to you. So you can imagine that, like that this is, and she's starting to lay down this understanding here. So we're going to keep going, but what I like is that this is a key phrase here. What I wish to share with you is that the past and the future collapse because of how our brain works, because of how our perception has always worked. So we have been in a framework where we understand everything, look as if we're looking out the window. We've talked about this in a couple past messages, that right now our frame of reference is that it is as if we are looking at reality from standing inside a house. We are in a house and we are looking out a window. And we are here and we look out, and the world is other. It is outside and we are inside. And the only way we can understand what's outside is based on what we know about it, which comes from up here. We can see a tree and we know a lot about trees. We know that, oh, I see that that's a deciduous tree, and I can fill that in with, oh, I know that that means it's going to drop as leaves in the fall. I'm not experiencing that right now. I'm pulling that up out of memory. Right? I know that it's going to be bare in the winter, and I'm not experiencing that right now. I'm pulling that out of memory. So I'm in the house, I'm looking through the window, and I'm experiencing all that is through the landscape of time, through memory and through the future. So, and she's trying to explain here how it's going to change, how our relationship will change when we finally go outside the house and we are part of the landscape and we are experiencing it fully. We are within it. So, okay, so our historical pattern inside the house looking out, a separated state where you understand yourself in a relationship to all that is from the outside. Then she says, this puts you in a position where you are asking for things, praying for things, hoping for things, creating things, doing things in order to create the future. So the separated state, we feel separated from our future as well. And we think about ourselves right now, like think about how much we feel we have to earn the future. Like how much we look at the future and we recognize how separated we are from what we want. And so we imagine that in the now moment, well, I better do these things. I better work. I better fill out this form. I better do this application. I better do whatever I need to do in order to have what I want in the future. And the future feels separated and far away. And this brings to this idea that what if we really understood that future is completely entangled in the now moment, that the future is not separated at all, that it is all mixed up in the now moment where the past is also mixed up, right? And so depending on what we're holding in the moment, we may be filling out an application for a new position or a new going to school or whatever it might be. And we're thinking we're projecting that into the future, which is far away, but it's all tangled up in the moment where the past also is. And in the past, we may have already filled out 15 applications and all of them got rejected. And we're sitting in that space and we're going, I'm filling out this application, but I had 15 that were rejected, and we're mixing that all up in a big stew of yuck. And guess what energy we're projecting into the future, right? So it's this sticky cat fur that we just can't seem to leave the past away from the future. So then she says, The perfect example, intertwined. Okay, so it's a historical pattern. And then she says, this puts you in a position where you're asking for things, creating things about the future, hoping that it will stem from something you desire, that you form from what you experienced in the past. So then she says, this will change as you move into these future moments, which we are just now unfolding. The collapse of time is what I'm talking about. The experience of time becoming not separated any longer, where your relationship to reality becomes indistinguishable from self, where you are one with everything, where you are within the moment, within everything. So rather than being in the house looking out the window, our new perception is that we are going to move outside through the door out to the garden, and we are going to be out there, and we're no longer looking at the tree from a distance. We are next to it. We're feeling it, experiencing it. Really, we are in it. We're one with everything, and we have all of our senses tuned. We can smell it, we can hear it, we can feel it, all of it, rather than just understanding it through here. We're now perceiving it through here. So this experience of moving out will collapse time into the now moment. Will no longer be spread along the axis of past, future, and doing all this gobbledygook. So one of the way, okay, so it is no longer a context where you have to understand your relationship to things as something that's outside of you. You are within it. You need no longer be separated to understand it. You can simply live it. You can simply be within it in the same way that you can feel your own feelings. You can reach into the body to diagnose your own constitution. You are it. You know what you are, how you feel, what you are experiencing internally. You need no separation to feel what pain is. You do not need to step outside of the body to diagnose your own pain. You simply feel it. So think about how it is that we understand things right now. That right now, if you see something and you don't understand it, our first reaction, like I go to the plant store and I see a plant and I want to know like how will this plant behave in my garden? Will it be deciduous? Is it evergreen? Is it drought tolerant? Where I go is I separate from it and I go to Google and I search the plant name and I try to find out like all the details about the plant. But in this new model, what I would do is connect. And so this just happened where we went to the nursery and I was buying plants and I did that and I was searching. And then I went to another section where I was wanting to buy a plant that I was going to put in a pot. And I was looking at this whole section of really beautiful lavender. And I sort of stopped myself. I'm like, wait a minute, let's choose differently. And so instead, I just got into my heart and I was like, who wants to come home with me? I sat there and I just spoke to the plants. I was like, who wants to live in my garden? This is where you're going to be. You're going to be in a pot. Let me describe the space. Like, who would like that most? And it was like, boom, you. And it was like, okay, I will buy that plant, and that one came home. So that's the new, and it's oneness. It's not the sense of I need to separate from you to understand you. It is I'm going to connect with you to understand you. I'm no longer going to put you over here and analyze you through my brain and say, oh, you remind me of my Uncle Joe because he had those same shoes. And now I'm going to come to all kind of conclusions about you probably also get drunk at Thanksgiving. I'm going to connect with you heart to heart. And I'm going to say, who are you? Let's feel each other's hearts. So really different perspective is what we're heading into. So then she says, and I love that she uses this metaphor of pain because it's so sharp. Pain is so sharp. And when we have pain, if you have a new novel pain that shows up in your body, you feel it, right? The pain comes and you're like, and you're not like taking a step apart and going to look at your pain in the mirror. You can't. It doesn't show up in the mirror. You have to go inside to feel the pain, right? It doesn't show up in the mirror. Even if you try to explain it to someone else, you're like, well, it's this weird twinge and it's kind of down here. And they don't understand. You understand it because you are inside of the pain. And then she says, therefore, what I'm trying to express is that in this near future, you are moving into a state where you will feel much more connected to all that is, and you will be in a state where you can assess reality from the inside of it, as if you are one with the tree, as if you are one with what you are creating, from the inside out. And then she goes on to say, and this means that you will no longer be separated from it. And what this means is that you are inside of time, that you no longer need to experience the present through the past and the future. You are fully present within the now moment, and you may experience what is unfolding in the fullness of your consciousness right now. So okay, picture time. Are you guys ready for some fabulous drawing? Like seriously, buckle up. You're going to be moved by my drawing. So here we go. So, all right. So let's imagine that we are currently in our, I'm going to turn this way so you can see better. Let's imagine that this is you, right? And in this reality, we are here and we're like, let's talk about time. And over here we have seconds. And over here we have minutes. We're like, oh, minutes, I can define those. I can define days, right? I can define weeks. I can define months. I can define years. And I can say these are all things that I can connect to, right? There's all these things out here that I can say, here's all these pieces. Imagine that this is like these are the components of a watch. Imagine that you have a really cool old watch and it's, one of the ones with all the gears where you can see the gears in it, or a timepiece. And you're trying to understand this amazing clock or watch. So you take it apart and you have all the little gears, and these are all the little gears of the watch, all the little tiny mechanical pieces, and you have them all spread out on a table because you're trying to understand time. So you're looking at all these pieces and they all look very separated, right? And here's like, oh, look at what can we learn about time this way? Well, I can learn about the individual gears, right? I am putting myself in relationship to time where I am outside of it, trying to understand it through the relationship of separation. So this is the state of separation. So what happens when we move into the state of oneness is that all these pieces come together, right? That here is years, months, days, here we are, seconds, minutes, and at the center is you, right? And in fact, here's all that is. And I would say this is you. That you, can you see is it too faint? You cannot see it. Thank you. So first example, here you are. Here's your relationship to all of these different components of the watch, right? Seconds, minutes, years, days, weeks, months, right? There we have it. And these are all components of the watch. Then you're going to come to this new model of being, right? We're going to move away from separation where you're trying to understand things by breaking them apart. And you're going to move into a state of unity where inside all the components of the watch are going to be put back together again, and all the gears are going to work, and you're going to have seconds, minutes, hours all connected inside of the oneness, all that is. And you are that. And so you are now inside of time. And so you're no longer trying to understand the components of the watch. You're just reading what it tells you, right? So that's the difference, is that we have been in a state where we're trying to understand a person by taking them apart, by looking at the components. And time is similar, that we have been living within time, using it to change our perception by separating the past, separating it out along a timeline and saying past and future, and seeing the world through this lens. We are going to collapse it back into the clock so that the timepieces are no longer made of the components, but we gather the meaning rather than the individuated pieces. So we're going to glean, like when you look at a clock and it gives you just the answer, which is time, you still don't understand how the clock works, right? You don't know how all those gears fit together, and it doesn't matter. What you get is the essence of the clock. You get what it's built for. What it's built for is to tell the time. So when you're in the unified state, we get the time. We get the minute. We get the now moment. But we don't focus on the separated state, which is like, well, I'm going to take it apart and see all the little gears. Does that make sense? So this is the collapsing of time and how it will change our perception of everything. So then she says, okay, therefore, here it is. And what this means, you're inside of time. Thus, time collapses and you are no longer perceiving what is happening through the lens of what happened before. For example, if you experience a pain in your body, the pain is fresh, the pain is new, the pain is right now, and it is happening fully. And you are within it, and it is within you, and you may assess it in real time. I use pain not because you like it, but because pain captures your attention. Pain draws your awareness to it. It is an example everyone can understand. But you can also say the same thing about joy. When you are truly joyful, joy permeates the moment. It fills you from the inside out, and you are fully engrossed by it, just like pain. And when you are fully in your joy, time collapses. You do not feel joy and immediately feel the need to categorize it or dissect it or stand apart from it. to understand its implications, right? We don't need to take the watch apart. You simply are joyful, right? You are simply joyful. Laughter, when something is funny, when someone says something surprising and witty, you do not feel the need to separate yourself from that humor. The laughter rises from inside you and you experience laughing and you feel that joyful experience as it rolls up inside of you and spills out. And sometimes you are breathless and cannot stop and you wonder to yourself, will I ever breathe again? And this is a moment within which you are engrossed in the present. And so what I love about this is she very sneakily put in a reference to time, right? She's trying to show the elasticity of time in the now moment. So there was a time once at a retreat not that long ago where Isla came through and she taught everyone an exercise where they could expand time. And it was really cool. And she walked everyone through it. And this is a reference to that sometimes you're in a moment when you're laughing so much and you wonder if you'll ever breathe again. Right? And in that moment, you have expanded the moment of that laughter. Like where sometimes you just, oh my gosh, I want this to go on. I want this to last because this is so much fun. And that presence of mind expands the moment, expands the joy. And like I remember as a kid, my dad used to take us sometimes to go see these movies called the Apple Dumpling Gang. And anybody else see those movies when they were kids? I think it was Don Knotts and some other guy, and the movie, you know, where there were, I don't even know if the movie was that good, but my absolute favorite part was coming out of the movie and sitting in the car driving home afterwards. And my brother and I would be stuck to the back of their seat. My dad and my stepmom, they'd be in the front. We'd be stuck to the back of their seats, retelling, you know, like upright. We'd want our heads right next to theirs, retelling the moments of the movie to see if we could all laugh again. You know, just trying to remember another thing so that we could laugh just one more time because it was so much fun to laugh together and telling it again and again and again, you know. And it's that idea of like wanting to stretch that moment and make it longer. And so here she's describing that, right? That idea that, yeah, you wonder, will you ever breathe again? And this is a moment in which you are engrossed in the present. And we do have that ability to stretch, and we can stretch our pain too. You know what I mean? Like how much do you focus on the pain? It stretches and it gets bigger. You know, whereas if you can distract yourself and move on to other things, the pain seems to shrink and get smaller. So it takes up less of the moment gets smaller. So, all right, so then she says, as you move into the near future, there will be an increasing focus on this perception of the now moment where you are within it in the same way that you experience pain from within and you experience joy or laughter from within, that you will be inside of the moment, just like you are inside the clock, right? You are inside the watch and now you are feeling the whole of it. You are getting the gist of it, which is what it does. It tells time. And you will be inside of it. Where is it? I'm sorry, I lost my place. Your pain within and joy from within, as if you were part of it, not through. Okay, that you will be inside of the moment and it will move you and you will react to it as if you are part of it, not through analysis, not through comparison to the past or through your wishes to the future. It will be as if as if it is a part of you and you are experiencing it in the same way that you experience pain, joy, and laughter. Then she says, I hope these examples are helpful to you. I understand this is a foreign concept and it is somewhat complex in understanding because we are talking about perception. It is like trying to understand how a television works, that you see the picture and there is a mystery as to how it appears on the screen. Your own perception is like this. It is something you've always lived with and you rarely diagnose it to understand the source of your ideas or your filters for perceiving reality. And so I would just add to this to say how will this affect or change how we see and create our reality? That this really is about getting off the karmic path. That when we are in a separated state, which means that we see ourselves apart from everything, when we're inside the house looking out the window at reality and we're living in separation and we're seeing everything in separation, we're living along the axis of time, right? We're trying to diagnose and understand what's out there through memory and through our projection of imagining it in the, this winter when it's going to lose its leaves. So we're seeing it across this whole projection of time. But we don't understand as we're doing that it becomes incredibly sticky, like sitting on the sofa covered in cat fur. And we're going back to the past and we're picking up all this cat fur. And then we go into the future sofa and we're depositing all that cat fur. And the moment becomes completely tangled up and crazy. So we think we're looking out the window and we don't realize we're creating the past from the future. So it ties us a state of separation is because we are creative beings, our perception is so powerful that as long as we're in the window looking out, we are creating karma for ourselves. Does that make sense? So this is the connection that she's trying to help us understand. So how do we free ourselves from the karmic loop, right? We go outside, and we, instead of trying to understand outside through this tangled mess of past and future from our memory and our projections, we go out and we live inside of it. And then what do we need to know about the tree? Go feel it. Go touch the bark. Go smell the breeze. Go feel, go see it, touch it, hear it, love it. And then what adds to all of this is what we've been told about what's coming with this shift of consciousness. Part of how we get outside, how do we get through that door? We have to heal our hearts, right? We have to balance our masculine and feminine energies, which helps to resolve the fighting inside of us. Any parts of us that we are no longer, that we won't allow to exist. Any parts of ourselves that we squish down and push down. So we do it by allowing all parts of ourselves to come forward. What that does, any part of ourselves that we wish never existed, any experiences we had that we try to deny, that we wish never happened, those are places where our heart is trying to shine the truth of everything we've ever experienced. And we're like, oh, I love all that except this part. So you can see all this, but not this, because this is not nice. I don't like it. So don't look over here. So I'm going to hide that. But what that means is that I'm only letting part of my heart through. So I'm still inside the house when that happens. So we got to get to the space where we're like, okay, maybe it's not the coolest, but here it is. Like, here's all the stuff. Here I am. And I love myself even with that. Like, I can recognize that's part of my journey, and I don't have to love what happened, but I love myself through it. I love that I came through it. I love who I am, and that was part of who I am, and so I love that too. This is where we're trying to go. This is why Soul Convergence is starting, by the way, coming up in September. That's what Soul Convergence does. It helps you with that process of bringing all those pieces together and getting to the space where you can love the things that are the trauma from, really from being in the womb up to age 7, the stuff that's really hard to touch, hard to get to, because we don't even remember it. But the angels help us through a process to do that. But this is the process we go through to be able to open up whatever filters we have in front of our heart. And then we're allowing our perception to come not from here, but from here. And that's what gets us outside the door. That's what opens us up to connection with everything. And when we're in that state, we are outside, something magical happens, which is that connection with everything opens up our perception so that now we are experiencing telepathy. So, and the difference in that can be explained by thinking about how limited your perception is when you're inside the house. That you have your sight, right? And you might be able to hear muffled sounds through the window, maybe, right? You can't smell anything and you can't touch it, but you get information. But when you're outside in it, think about how much more information you get, right? It is not just a little bit more, it is exponentially more. Like, you can see things in so much more detail, and you can hear and smell and taste. If you want to eat grass, you can do it, right? You can do all of it. And the degree of difference between those two experiences of sensation is exponential. And that's where telepathy is going to take us. So when it will allow us to have that feeling of connecting with another person, like I did with the plants, where I said, who wants to come home with me? Who feels like they want to be, and, here's where it is, you want to come, as opposed to let me look you up on Google and let Google tell me who I should take home. So this is where we're trying to go. We are talking about perception, and perception is the shift of consciousness. We are shifting our perception. And I think it's tempting for us to wish that the shift of consciousness was coming because there was someone who's going to do something to us. There's a lot of religions that say, Yeshua or Jesus is going to come, and he's going to take the people, and he's going to be the one that changes us. Or it's going to be aliens that are going to come and they're going to bring us somewhere else on their ship, or it's going to be something's going to happen to us that will change us. And yes, there are things happening around us. Like, there's way more light, more energy coming to the planet that supports us. But the light isn't doing it. What's doing it is us. And what the light is doing is helping us to shift our perception. It's helping us to see things in new ways. And our perception is doing the magic. So when our perception shifts, when we learn to love all parts of ourselves, we get out of the way of our heart. Our heart is then able to create the new reality. So it's it. It's in a nutshell. I wish I could dress it up and put some sparkles on it and be like, yeah, and then there's aliens, and then it's gonna be, and then Jesus is gonna come and like grab you and like marry you right the moment. It's gonna be awesome. But like maybe that happens, but that's not what's creating. The reason that would happen is because you loved yourself, because we got to this state of unity inside. We are the magic. We are the magical beings that are creating the new reality. And I think it's tempting for us to want it to be someone else because we don't trust ourselves, right? We don't think we can do it because we haven't done it yet. So we don't think we can. So we want someone to save us. Maybe we look at our own lives and we say, I don't like this, I don't like that. If I can't change my broken refrigerator, how can I create a new reality? And I would say that the things that have happened in the past are just part of the journey. And you don't have to be perfect to create the new reality. Like the new reality flows through us because all we got to do is come to terms with what is. It's it. It's all we got to do. We have to learn to, we don't have to fix it. We don't have to get better. All we got to do is learn to say, it's okay. It's okay that I am who I am. It's okay that the world is the way it is, and it will get better. And all I got to do is learn to give it love, because all that it needs, it doesn't need me to go in there and fix it. It doesn't need me to fight it. It doesn't need me to resist it. I don't have to put my foot down and kick the world in the rear and make it shape up. None of that. Because all I'm doing when I do that is I just put more energy into everything I don't like. So what I got to do instead is I got to look out in the world and say, wow, there's not a lot of love right there. I can recognize that as an area of human consciousness that really needs love. And so I'm going to give it love. I'm going to give it love the way I give love to a tantruming child. And I just say, you are hurting right now, and I'm going to give you love. Not because I like it, not because I don't like your behavior. Let me be clear. Do not like your behavior, but you deserve love too. And so that's for all parts of ourselves. That's for every element of humanity. And we don't, like I said, we don't have to achieve perfection. This is an individual journey. We're going to go through this journey one at a time. And it's not even all or nothing. We'll go through this journey throughout the day 1 billion times. Every moment we have a chance to step into that higher state of consciousness more and more, right? Every little moment we have the opportunity. So if you're feeling particularly high on life, great, grab that moment and feel the heck out of it. And maybe draw a little bridge and connect it into your tomorrow, like we practiced in last week's message. So, which anybody who missed that one, that's the Lionsgate message. So, which is awesome. It gives you a tangible practice you can use to create the future, create and take your joy and expand it and bring it into tomorrow. So there's a little bit more here. She's just wrapping up. She says, she says they're talking about perception. It is like trying to understand how a television works, that you see the picture and there is a mystery as to how it appears on the screen. Your own perception is like this. It is something you've always lived with, and you rarely diagnose it to understand the source of your ideas or your filters for perceiving reality. But she says it is important now to become aware of these things, because perception is what is changing. It is what will be renewed, what will be reformed. So the perception is the shift of consciousness, is a perceptual shift. And then she says, and it changes now in a way that offers you something beautiful, which is an opening of your own expression. And then she says, which is freedom from suffering. So you could lose that in this phrase. You could think she's talking about they're the same thing. She's not. She's not saying that the shift of consciousness is freedom from suffering and opening your expression. She's saying that the shift of consciousness, by changing our perception, it opens us to expression. And then she says, being open to our own expression is freedom from suffering. So the only reason we suffer is because we are limiting our expression. Like the pain comes because we are holding ourselves back. We are limiting ourselves. We are putting ourselves down. And we are creating that through our karmic expression of separation from everything, where we are taking the wounds of our past and we are unknowingly projecting them into our now moment and into the future. And she says, so really the root of it, the core of it, is it gets down to that we limit ourselves, that we deny the expression of our truth because we don't like it. And then she says, if we can free ourselves from that, we will also free ourselves from suffering. And she says, and that doesn't mean, by the way, that doesn't mean the new reality doesn't have challenges. But it's a different type of challenge. It's a kind of challenge like, oh my gosh, you have this massive Lego kit of a airport and you have to put it together and you have no help, right? And it's like and that's the kind of challenge. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm doing something really hard and I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, and it's I might get frustrated. I might, I might break a piece and get irritated. Like, that's the kind of suffering. It's not the kind of suffering of like, oh my God, my loved ones had this horrible thing happen, or I lost a limb, or what, I mean, it's different. It's a different kind. It's not gut wrenching, heartbreaking. It's suffering because it's challenge is how I would describe it. I would describe it as challenge rather than suffering. It graces you within the world that you live in. So here's another big important tidbit, right? Number one, the big change is freedom of expression, which then ends suffering. It graces you within the world you live in. So it doesn't mean like we have to leave this world to have this. We can have it now in the world that we're in right now. And then she says the freedom to experience yourself in the now is the freedom that you are looking for. Right? I say bless you, thank you, and goodbye. Super cool message. Totally confounded me yesterday. I can never understand it the day I channel it, ever. It's something about being in the channel that I just cannot process language when I'm in the channel. And I go deeper for the Friday Live messages, and so I just have a very hard time. And I have to wait several hours or the next day, and then I come back and read it and like, oh, okay. But the night of, and it's like really funny because I was talking to Wendy after this one. She's like, what's the message about? I don't know. I have no idea. But today it's all clear and beautiful. So yeah, just amazing, you guys. Let me see what you guys have to say. Oh my gosh, the 111 new messages. Okay, I got to, because that's a lot, and I got to scroll forward because it's also 11:11. Oh my gosh, 111 messages at 11:11. On like the eclipse window all around. I think that's just amazing. Yeah, so cool. Irma had wormhole images. Super cool. Time travel, very cool. Irma says, my boyfriend and I don't watch the time anymore, only on days we work, so we are not late. That is awesome. Stop wearing a watch, says Vincent. Yeah, very cool. I was just caught up. I set alarms for myself. That's how I navigate my day. I'm like, okay, I know I have to be somewhere. I'll set an alarm 15 minutes in advance so I don't forget. I was just caught up in contemplating eternity this morning. It's like the title of that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Love that. Yes. A window is our perception into the past or the future. Matrix is Irma. Yeah. Here we go. There you go. More conversations about that. And then Ivana loves this. It says presence. So cool. So much, says Jen. I love it. And then Kelsey says it's for soul convergence participants. And then recently I saw the movie Interstellar. So related. Now I even have another perspective of it. Oh, very cool. Geraldine says, our past shades our projections into the future. Now there is no pure future. Yes, agreed. Well said. Jenna says, I do feel that too, but make the mistake of thinking I need to earn a good future. Isn't that true, Jenna? I think so many of us can relate to that feeling that we somehow have to pay our penance, that we have to be good, do good in order to receive. And it's actually not that, right? It's really not that. And then the worst part about that is that often what we perceive as being good and doing good is in fact repressing ourselves, right? I mean, I'm being extra good because I am taking on everybody else's baggage. I'm the one that's the long suffering member of my household that will manage all the problems and blah, blah, blah. And all of that is one big tangle of self-repression. And it's brutal. We are so mean to ourselves and we don't even realize it. We don't even realize how we do it. Yeah. But it's always helpful. One of my wounds from early on, from in the womb, was this feeling that I can't have needs or my parents will leave me. That I have to be really, I can't have any needs at all, or I will be abandoned and I will die, right? That's the connection. It's that strong of a feeling. And it's gradually gotten less and less and less and less as I've moved through the main part of the karma, but there's still shades of it that'll come through here and again. And I will see, I just went through one the other day where I had to be aware. I'm like, there it is again. And I think of it as our core wounds as like rivers that we swim in through our lives. And even after you go through and you heal the core pieces of it, if there is something that rises, if there's a new incident that come in, it often will show up in that same river. But it's lovely because you really get this depth of understanding about that pattern. So if yours is a pattern like mine, I would call mine like a pattern of codependence, because I would be adjusting my behavior, trying to keep everybody happy all the time. So like I'm managing everyone, And I've had to go through that as a healer to learn that I'm not responsible. I can't be responsible for someone else's healing because I don't. All I am is a doorway. Right? I facilitate healing. I provide energy. I provide the connection. But if someone doesn't, they're not ready to heal yet, and they're not ready to let something go, I can't change that, right? Or I will take on their karma if I try to, right? I had to learn to like get out of the way and let people have their. And I have to trust another person. I had to learn another big shade of this. I had to learn when I try to help someone, I am in fact in judgment of that person, right? I am not trusting them to resolve their own issues. I'm not allowing them to make their own choices. I am deciding for them that I think they should do something different. That's not fair. So there's so many layers of this I've had to go through. It's like each one is a new little sandwich of yuck. Here you go. Here it is. So, but what's cool about it is I've swum this river, and it's gotten more and more nuanced that I keep learning more and more about this dynamic, this particular codependent. I can see why we would set this up for ourselves, that we would create a life for ourselves where we're going to explore a particular river. And our job as the soul swimming this river is to really get everything we can out of this river. We want to go into the little byways and the alleyways. We want to navigate this river so that we can come back and tell everybody, this is this river. Let me tell you about this river. I got it. I know everywhere this river goes. And that's kind of what we're doing. So I wonder, I don't know if I'll get to a place where I will never have anything else in this particular stream. I think I may still have shades, but it's lovely now because I know it so well. When it comes up, I'm like, gotcha, I know what that is, and then I can immediately evaluate. So where am I feeling that, or why am I feeling that? And I can hold myself accountable. It also becomes a little bit like if you heard about like the wounded healer, the Chiron, who like can heal everybody else, but he's got this one wound on his ankle that he can never heal. That I think that is kind of the case with the river that we choose, whatever theme it is that we're exploring in this lifetime. It's different for every one of us, but that river, that is the place that if we're ever gonna, it's almost like we're traveling through life and we're traveling along the bank of this river, and that anytime we fall, we're gonna fall back in that river. So it is like our Achilles wound, our Achilles heel, that it's where we fall down. And so it becomes opportunities for lessons, opportunities for, okay, if I'm going to fall into a pattern, it's going to be that one. And so I'm really feeling called right now to call myself out whenever I'm being quote unquote nice, and to understand the difference between nice and kind. And I want to strive for kindness and not niceness, because niceness carries all kinds of baggage inside of nice. Nice means I'm going to put everybody else first, and I'm not going to say what I need, and I'm going to be a doormat. All these things. That's what a nice girl, such a nice girl. But a kind person is considerate, compassionate, understanding. That kind person isn't a doormat, but a nice person, doormat. So I'm trying to notice whenever I slip into that, whenever I'm overly nice. And I'm not saying, and I also had, here's another flip of the switch on that one that really helped me, is I had to realize when I am being nice, when I'm managing in a relationship of any kind, that if I'm not saying this is making me uncomfortable, or I'm not happy with this or whatever, I am in fact not being nice. I'm in fact not telling the truth. I'm not being open and honest about what's happening inside of me. And that was a huge, fabulous switch, because I had a really hard time letting go of my nice conditioning. And when I said I am being kind when I speak my truth, because I'm in fact investing in the relationship, I am in fact strengthening the relationship by opening my heart and letting the person respond to what I'm truly feeling. And we're dealing from honesty, and we're dealing from truth, rather than them not knowing what's inside me and me just wadding up all my little whatevers and being frustrated that they left all their crud all over my table or whatever it was, So, and be nice. So that is and this is mine. This is my pattern. We all have a pattern. We all have one. And that's exactly the kind of stuff that's what we're trying to work through. And I see it as, yes, we want to get on the other side of it, but also it is such a powerful learning journey. It is the reason for incarnating. It's like why we're here. And so it is like once we, like the step one is discover it. Like, what is your river? We probably have more than one. Many of us have several rivers we're exploring. That's my main theme, like right there, that I've got. And I just keep dipping into it and coming out, dipping in and coming out. And then I learn a little bit more and learn a little bit more. And then I'm able to become, as I go, I become increasingly bold, I would say, increasingly self-confident. Like in my book, if you've read my book, I have the example of the starlings, that the starlings fly so perfectly together, right? And when I'm in that river, I am a terrible starling. I'm like bumping into everybody else. I'm like, let me fly for you. Here, let me fix your wing. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm messing with everybody else. Let me, your tail is wrong. Let me change it, you know? And when I'm a perfect starling, I'm like in my own zone going like, you do you, like you're awesome. And I'm over here doing my thing and I feel good about me and everybody's happy and I'm keeping my distance from everybody else so we can fly beautifully together. And so that's the goal, you know, is to get there where we can truly be in unity consciousness and the perfection of our separation within the connected whole. So have a great week, you guys. Thank you so much for being together. So much love to you, and I'll see you guys next Friday live. Bye, you guys.